I wanted to do this video just to talk about some of the most innovative designs and maybe just interesting designs that I've seen on flashlights as of late. And we're all familiar with this sort of tube style design, nothing wrong with that. Convoy S2 Plus, I mean, does everything that you need it to do. But, you know, as time goes by, I think we sometimes want something a bit different, or maybe we sort of ask, what else do we kind of need in a flashlight, or what else do we want in a flashlight? Do we want to see a different design? Do we want just more features? Do we want it to, I don't know, open a can or something like that? Probably not. But look, starting over here to the right, this is the Wuben X0. And I think they released this a couple of years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. But, you know, as you can see, the design of it is pretty fascinating. I mean, it doesn't even look like a flashlight, like a typical flashlight that you see. I mean, the design is pretty much the selling point here. The actual LED and the TAR lens in there is also quite interesting because you've got a spot beam, produces a spot beam plus a ton of throw. So it's an interesting kind of, if you look a little bit closer, Wuben have done something with the lens. It's kind of like a TIR lens mixed with a reflector or something in the back there that softens the beam, but also produces, you know, some decent throw. So yeah, I think that's pretty innovative, whatever they've done with that reflector, plus the design itself. This got a lot of interest. They released another one called the E7 after, because they wanted something that was a bit more, you know, affordable, consumer friendly, I suppose. So yeah, those are a couple. They have them in different colors. And since we're talking about Wuben in the first place, I might as well grab out the other Wuben here. Oh, I was thinking where it was. But this one here, it's the Wuben X2 Pro, and they do have another version as well here, the X2 Pro in the kind of white. And the difference between some of these models essentially is that you've got the UV light here on one side, and this one here has the colored LED, so you can choose between one or the other. Some people don't like the colored LEDs, but yeah, basically the selling point of this light is that it can fit two batteries in there, so two 14500 cell batteries, so it extends the runtime, and it's just a do-it-all kind of flashlight. You can see here on the side, you can turn it on, and there's a little scroll bar that allows you to sort of go between a spot and a flood mode, okay? And it's an electronic sort of flood to spot mode. Let me just see if I can just lower it down to a really low mode, something like that. So you might be able to see it on camera. But as you turn this, yeah, basically as you turn the dial, it alternates between flood and spot. I think that's a really cool idea. I think they still need to refine it, definitely make some improvements, try some different lenses in there perhaps, but they're definitely on the right track, and this has got to be one of my favorite little EDCs to carry around, especially because it takes AA cells. And yeah, you can't say that they've not tried something different. These LEDs here on the side here as well, I might just show you the white version because it's a bit better in terms of highlighting the different colors. This sort of colored LED mode here on the side. The black version just has the black version I have just has the UV LED in place of the colored LED, so you can choose. There's also a nice little side light there, just a normal white side light. You can rotate this auxiliary light up and down. So it basically does everything, you know. And the recent version that I got from Wuben, they have this tactical switch here on the back, so you've got to switch it onto the normal mode first. And you can half press to access like a tactical mode. It memorizes whatever you'd left it in last. So yeah, pretty cool. I think that Wuben are definitely on the right track in terms of making products that just are a little bit different. And yeah, they've certainly been popular. They also got this X3 that came out a little while back as well, again with a few very interesting features reminiscent of the X2 Pro. You know, you've got well, this version, you've got a white light there, plus you can hold down and get access to a red light as well. It's got wireless charging, so there's like a contact pad in there, and it basically charges wirelessly through this box. And the box also charges, the case also has this diffuser, so if you want to turn the light on, you can actually rotate this head like that, turn it on, close it, and you've got a bit of diffused light. And you've got magnets there on the back. Same deal actually with the X2 Pro. And yeah, you see quite a few manufacturers using this kind of flat style design. Now the X3 does not have replaceable batteries, which is one thing that bugged me a bit about it. Okay, but yeah, that's sort of what you get sometimes with these flat style flashlights. Rotating head makes it kind of easy. If you want to use it as a normal flashlight, you can kind of hold it this way like that, or if you want to clip it onto the front of your bag, like on a bag strap, and have it sort of face forward, hands-free sort of light, put it on your belt or something like that. I used this one quite a lot while I was traveling, and as long as you keep it on the lower modes, what's that, the 1 or the 50 lumen mode, the battery actually lasts a significant amount of time. So yeah, I really like this thing. And although the battery it doesn't last too long on the higher modes, I still keep this one out and use it. And of course, it is a very different looking design. So I might go along now to just show you some of these other sort of flat style flashlights. Now these are kind of like the bigger versions of the ones I showed you before, sort of serious versions if you want something with proper battery life, more power. And the Acebeam Terminator M2, I received this one first, and it contains one 18650 cell in there. You've got this ridiculously powerful spot beam. You can alternate between a flood and spot beam very easily like that. There's also if you triple click, where is it? You can activate both flood and spot at the same time. There are also some auxiliary lights, I believe. Got to go into got to turn it off first and press and hold. There we go. Yeah, and there's some auxiliary lights that you can sort of select from as well, which makes it multi-purpose. And you do see that's the kind of theme with a lot of these flat style lights and these newer designs, these interesting designs that manufacturers are putting out. It's kind of like they're making the flashlight into this multi-purpose tool, so that you don't have to choose between flood and throw. You've got the flood beam there, you've got a throw beam there. I wish it had onboard charging, though the battery does have a charging port on it. And yeah, obviously with this throw beam here, it uses a special lens system that takes up a lot of room, pretty much the whole side of the light, so it can only fit one battery in there. So just the 18650 battery on the right hand side. Otherwise, it would have been great to have a second 18650 battery in there somehow, but you're just not going to get that amazing projection, that projected sort of spotlight look. I wonder if they can maybe fit in something like a smaller, aspheric lens just to reduce the size. I don't know, and still have that battery in there. But anyway, one of my favorites, and definitely, yeah, I think Acebeam are on the right track with that Terminator M2. They've also got the M1, which features LEP, laser excited phosphor. I'll talk a bit about that later. It just throws a lot further than this particular model. Costs more as well. Now this is the related light, the Loop SK05 helm. There's also a pro version of this, and how I was complaining about, well, not complaining, but sort of talking about there only being a 18650 cell. This has got two, so you've got twice the runtime essentially, and the features are pretty much identical. So you've got this spot beam. Oh, that's the flood beam, sorry. Then you've got the spot beam here. Let me just raise the brightness a touch like that, so you can alternate between the flood and spot beam very easily. There is also a amazing little auxiliary function that you can sort of hold down and change between these different auxiliary lights here, and I believe that there is there's a few other little flashy features as well in there. So yeah, quite an interesting light, and useful because you don't, like I said, have to choose between a long range flashlight and a floody sort of flashlight. You can have two in the same host, and their Pro version actually allows you to swap the batteries on the go. You can swap these batteries out if they do go flat, or if they, you know, eventually degrade, but you know, you need to unscrew those two screws on the back. So yeah, if you do want to hot swap those batteries, the Pro version is the one you want. But still, I mean, this is great because, you know, a lot of these flat style flashlights, they don't have the ability to swap the cells out. So I think what Wuben have done, and what Loop have done as well, is a good thing, and definitely diffuses that point, that issue, I suppose. So let's put that aside, and I've got next here another light from Loop. This is their SK03, and it's a nice little EDC flashlight. All right, you've got these, the normal sort of light there through the head, but if you press and hold down, you get these little flashy lights that you can choose from. So you can kind of go through. I think there's a way to get them to just stay on fully. I can't actually remember how to do that. There we go. So, and then I think there's 3 brightness settings as well. Yep, maybe one more time. Okay, yeah, 3 brightness. There's actually 3 brightness settings in these. Loop also include a bunch of these colored filters that you can pop on. So yeah, it's one of those things that people either like or hate. I mean, I can't see a negative in it, because if you don't want those lights on, you just turn it off and use it like a normal light. But otherwise, you can kind of use this as a makeshift, you know, night light. You know, especially if you're taking off, you can take off this clip and they just look like normal white lights, and yeah, consume very little power. They can be used for reading maps, maybe just, you know, locating stuff in the dark in a tent. So again, that's the theme of these, a lot of these new designs is multi-function, you know, adding in different features, and you know, seeing what people think, you know, whether, and you kind of get kickback from some people, and they're like, you know, it's a gimmick. And I can see how people were saying that, because, you know, how often are you going to use these lights on the side? You know, for me personally, not often at all. I mean, I like the red ones. I'd use that at night, but other than that, you know, for most purposes, I'll probably be using that front light. So you know, for most people, I don't think you need something like this, but it's different, and maybe that side light feature might be useful for you. And also the design, of course, I don't really talk too much about the design, but the design looks, I have to say, it does look pretty cool, doesn't it? It looks different, at least. They don't even look like flashlights. You know, if you were to show someone someone who hasn't been up to date with what's new and going on with flashlights, they'd be thinking, what the hell is this? So pretty cool. I think they're pretty cool anyway. Let's have a look at some other ones here. I might just move these off the side a little bit and not destroy my whole collection. But this one I thought I'd pick out because it looks pretty interesting, and looks like a prop from a sci-fi movie or something like that. It's the Mate Minko FT01, and I think I got this one from Neal's Gadgets a long time ago. And isn't it cool? Just it kind of has this vintage look to it, you know, those old style design of flashlights. There's a larger version as well, I think the FT02, but it uses this kind of interesting reflector design. So basically you get flood and throw in the same sort of head, and you can see the beam right there. A nice soft flood and a decent hot spot just due to the size of the reflector. Never seen a reflector that looks like that before. It's kind of multi I don't know, layered, I suppose. You know, there's an inner kind of different steps inside. So yeah, I think this would make a really good gift as well. And yeah, thought I'd just bring it out because it looks different, even though it is kind of based on an old model, you know, an old vintage flashlight. You don't see too many of those around these days. So coming up next, I've got this one that I got recently, the Lumintop. What is this? The Lumintop. God, I've just lost my train of thought. Lumintop Rainbow. So it's heavy as anything, and the battery here, this battery is gigantic. You know, 32,000 milliamp hour cell. It's a 46950 cell. Okay. Oh, that's insanity. That's like 621,700 cells. But anyway, this light has a ridiculous amount of throw. It's got a 1 kilometer throw. And I'll take this off because basically that's a little attachment you have on the head to turn it into a bedside lamp or just a lantern that you can use when you're camping or something like that. Got that round dye LED in it. I've got no clue what this LED is, but it certainly produces a heap of light. I think it's rated at 3,000 lumens. Rated at 3,000 lumens. Yep, and you can also turn on and switch in between these different modes. We've got the side mode here. Okay, sort of swap between the side sort of lamp mode, and this is where you put this thing on because it's just stop it from blinding you. You can also change the brightness of that light as well. How do you do it? I can't remember. I think you press and hold. There you go. So you press and hold, and then it reduces the brightness a little bit, and triple click to swap into that throw mode. And there's also some interesting modes in here. You can press and hold like that to get access to these other ones. Let me just see, how do I do this? There we go. So you can swap in between this sort of mood lighting, and I think you can get it onto, where is that? It's rainbow mode. This one, the red mode. I use this one sometimes at night, and I mean the thing functions as a power bank as well with this gigantic battery in there. And again, it's that theme, that multi-faceted kind of flashlight, floodlight, lantern plus power bank. You know, I think now people, it's kind of like a phone where you normally, you know, a phone back 20 years ago would, you know, you'd be able to play Snake or something on it, and you'd be able to call, send text messages, but now it just does everything. I mean, I'm not saying that a flashlight's going to be doing any of that sort of stuff either, but of course, maybe it will, who knows. But, you know, maybe one day, you know, I wonder what they'll come up with. I really wonder what they'll come up with next, but it does seem like they're integrating multiple features and perhaps attracting a wider demographic of people, trying to capture you know, a different sort of consumer rather than just people like me that are just interested in the flashlight itself. You know, maybe the power bank function would, you know, is a big deal for some people. You know, I think it's a great thing. I mean, in case I need to use it in an emergency. So that's yeah, this gigantic battery and the fact that it just, you know, does everything. You know, 1 kilometer throw, lantern, floody lantern. Pretty cool. So these are a couple others that I want to talk about as well. This is the Lumintop W1 and the W2, and they both use this interesting design. It's a spheric lens in here. You can see, I'm pretty sure it's a glass spheric lens, and then you've got the LED behind it. So here you've got an LEP, laser excited phosphor, in the W1, and the W2 uses SFT25, and this spheric lens produces a really throwy beam. Plus, you can see that ring around there. You know, you've got a flood beam, so a red and a white flood beam. So that's definitely counters that argument where people are like, okay, so I don't want a light that throws, you know, a kilometer, but I can't use it close by. Check that out. You can use that close by. Not only that, you can use a red beam as well. Now, I would like it to have a bit more range on the flood modes even, but I tell you what, that's decent enough as a walking light. Plus, you got this insane beam here. That's, I believe I measured over 700, must have been over 700 meters with this. Incredible. To have something like this in your pocket, it's almost, you know, it was almost unheard of just a couple of years ago even. So yeah, I really like this design. The UI though does leave something to be desired. I wish I could change modes, you know, lower this LEP output mode. I also wish that they had put a stronger driver in there that could maybe push that LEP a bit further. Yeah, but you know, you can't have everything. Here is the W2. I'll just quickly demonstrate it. So same sort of interface, floody kind of beam. You can go to the red beam as well, plus this same amazing projection beam like that. And that's what the aspheric lens does in both of these lights. So really solving that problem of incorporating that flood and throw beam into the same light, and still keeping it fairly pocketable, especially with the W1. The W1's one of my favorite lights, probably my favorite little EDC light that I'm obsessed with right now. So let's have a look what else we've got here. So here's something really interesting. So Nitecore creates some, tell you what, they create some pretty innovative kind of lights, and you know, some people don't like them, especially these flat style flashlights. Okay, now with a lot of these flat style flashlights, as you notice, you can't change the battery. Once the battery goes, you're pretty much gone. Okay, it does have onboard charging, but depending on your actual, you know, how often you use these lights, you might get a few years out of it. You might get 5 years use out of this thing. You know, the battery, the lithium polymer battery, is the same type of battery chemistry that's used in your phone. So for most of us, for me anyway, I'm not charging and discharging the flashlight fully every day. You know, I think the last time I discharged this thing fully was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or something like that, right? So, you know, so long as you're not using it all the time, I bet you're going to get three years plus of use out of this thing, and the battery should still have maybe about 80% capacity by that time. And you know, by that time, you might probably want the new model or whatever they have out at that time. You know, maybe Nitecore's, maybe by that time we've got solid state batteries. You know, I've been talking about it for years, but haven't seen anything about it. But or maybe they release a version that you can replace the battery. I don't know, but for the time being, I really like these. I use them all the time as just general EDC flashlights, because look at how slim they are. You can fit these in your pocket so easily. I think this one is 2,500 milliamp hours. This one is 1,500 milliamp hours. So, you know, not going to give you the longest runtime, especially on the really high modes, but it gives you very close to the runtime of an 18650 cell, which is impressive for a flat style flashlight like this. And if we look down the bezel here of the Nitecore EDC 29, they're using an LED that I've never seen before on any other flashlight. You know, you've got these, 2, 4, 6, 8 sort of floody LEDs that are surrounding this center core, this circular core LED, which is the throw LED. So you've got 2 of those, and they produce a heap of heat, but it just comes in such a compact little sort of package like this, and it produces, I believe it was like 8,000 plus lumens that was measured. So pretty incredible. The caveat being that it's only going to produce that for like 5 seconds before the light actually steps down. So yeah, in the small light package sort of thing like this, it's not going to dissipate heat so well. And it's like dominoes. One goes down and the others go as well. So that's the smaller version, the EDC 23. You know, kind of like a smaller version. I think it produces, is it 2,500 lumens? Pretty sure, yeah, 2,500 lumens on the turbo mode. Definitely a smaller one to keep in your pocket. And I believe it's using two SFT 25Rs in there. Okay, so very throwy LEDs. It's not the same kind of design as this one here. I think it's the UHI 40 Max. I can't remember, UHI 40 something. So yeah, I think that's pretty different. That's pretty revolutionary if you ask me. I mean, you're just having multiple kind of LED dye surfaces on the same board. Okay, but I'm assuming this is pretty efficient rather than kind of wiring together. Can you imagine just sort of attaching all these little LEDs onto a board separately? It's just going to be a nightmare. So yeah, pretty amazing in my opinion. And you know, say what you want about the you know, the design, and you can't replace the battery, the clip's a bit stiff, that kind of thing. I think it's a great EDC flashlight. It's, you know, just to carry around town or something like that. Of course, if you need a light, a proper light, as they say, for long-term, long duration, high output, long duration, you know, that kind of thing, that's not the type of light to get. So there's probably a couple more I'll talk about. So this here is the LED Lenser P6R Core QC, and I got another one here as well. This is the P7R Work UV, and LED Lenser have this painted to zoom system, and there's a few other flashlight companies that that also have zoomable lights. So this one here, the Convoy Z1, I might as well bring this one out to have a quick look. But the cool thing about this one is you can, it's so easy to change in between the brightness, the colors. So you've got red, just rotate the head, you've got green, you've got blue, and then you've got white, and then you just, with one hand, you can zoom in and out. Okay, which is pretty ergonomic, very user friendly, if you ask me. Okay, for some reason they got this really weird battery cartridge in here that I don't see why they use this sort of system. I wish they'd maybe just switch to a normal system, and it's, you know, it's micro USB charged as well on there. But I think the design of the head is something they should, I think they've hit the nail on the head there with this. So, you know, a few things as well. You wish they had like a glass lens, but you can't have everything. But, you know, this is probably one of my most used flashlights. Surprisingly, I use this around at home. I use this outside when I go for walks as well. Just be able to play around with a few different colors. It's always good fun, and especially when you're going nature watching as well. The red and the green modes, they don't scare away animals because they can't see it apparently. So yeah, I just think it's a great way to address the issue of, okay, well, I need a floody beam, I need a long range beam, and I need a floody beam. You know, you've got both in there, plus different colors. So great little light. This other one here has a similar sort of system, just without the different colors. You sort of just rotate the head to switch in between the flood and throw modes, and that's my Convoy Z1. Now this one you got to use two hands. It's actually you can do it with one hand. It's just a little bit tricky. So you've got that flood beam kind of zoomed all the way out, but now you can keep going. It's better with two hands. It's a bit tight. There we have it. When we've got ourselves a completely throwy circular beam like that. Let's unscrew it. Okay. Look, it's a bit more of a clunky design, I have to say. Like, it doesn't have the smoothness and the elegance of the LED Lenser, but the performance of this is better in terms of brightness, in terms of long range performance. Okay, but of course it's just not as elegant. You can't one hand this thing, it's a little bit tricky. You know, I think I got pretty decent grip strength, but that's not, you know, that's kind of uncomfortable to do with one hand. But again, you know, this is another kind of design that, you know, if not for the sort of largeness for the heads, and even though the head is pretty large, I still think it's a really good design, because it addresses, again, the you know, that problem of choosing between a floody or a throwy flashlight, a long range flashlight, when you can kind of have both of them in the same light. So yeah, let's see what they come up with. Let's see what they come up with next. And lucky last, we have the laser excited phosphor flashlights. Now, I can't remember exactly when this tech came out. It was maybe a couple of years ago, or yeah, probably a couple of years ago that it came out. So essentially, and probably don't quote me on this, but you have a laser diode in there, powerful laser diode, blue laser diode, which is then used, it's passed through some type of substrate, and the phosphor, which combined together converts the laser into visible light, but still retains the long range, what would you call it, what's that word, it collimates the light. So it basically preserves the throw of that sort of laser like beam while converting it into white light. And there's nothing else out there, you know, apart from buying a light like this that has a gigantic bezel, okay, and a reflector in there. There's nothing that's going to throw that far, okay, than this LEP technology. So this one here is Nextorch T10L. It has the same range as this other light here, my Convoy L8. Pretty much the same effective range. It doesn't produce as much light, nowhere near as much light as the L8, but the fact that this thing can throw, I think, what did I measure, 1.6, I think 1.5 or 1.6 kilometers, and it fits in your pocket, you know, it's pretty much unheard of until recent times. And I'm excited to see how the LEP manufacturers, you know, improve on the technology, make it more efficient. There's a company called Blue Lake, and they're known as well as Flamingo. Yeah, a company called Flamingo Light. I'm sure they're the company in China that manufactures these LEP modules, and I just presume over time they're going to get better and better at making them smaller, making them more efficient as well, just like LEDs. And I wonder one day if we're going to have pretty much, you know, LEP tech in all of our flashlights that's just so efficient and requires so little current, but can produce the same amount of light as something, you know, like an LED flashlight, which are extremely efficient anyway. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what kind of happens in this space. Maybe, you know, 10 years down the track, when I check back on this video, if my channel is still around and I'm still making videos about flashlights, you know, hopefully I am, then we can see how far the tech has come. But, you know, in 2025, oh, and I forgot to mention, there are some manufacturers that have paired like double sort of two LEPs together, kind of with a double head to produce almost double the throw. So yeah, that's another sort of thing they're playing around with. But yeah, in 2025, I'm just really, like I said, amazed at how far we've come with lights. What do you guys think? Do you think these lights are, you know, setting the stage for something better? Are you impressed with this sort of, with some of the tech on these lights, or you think you don't need it, it's no big deal, rather just stick with your good old normal flashlights? But again, I mean, even LED tech is something that is relatively recent as well, that it's kind of made it into flashlights. I mean, it's not too recent, maybe like 20 years or something like that, but the more high-powered LEDs, you know, for sure. I mean, if you pick up a flashlight 30, 40 years ago, you'd be hard-pressed to find an LED in there. So, and now everyone uses LED flashlights, and they probably don't even know it. But yeah, I would like to hear what you guys think. And yeah, if you have any favorite sort of interesting flashlights yourself, let me know down below in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this video.